Welcome back, guys. This is episode 13 of Ignorant Experts. Today we're going to have Blaze and Fuzz as our experts, and I believe it'll be Seth and me have topics for them. Um, Seth, you can give your topic first. You can choose your victim.
All right. So we shall start with the word rhinoplasty. And our expert today will be Blaze. And I shall type that in the chat.
I'm pretty sure I know what that is. All right, Blaze, you're on the clock.
Rhinoplasty. So, what do you want to know about it?
For some reason,
What is it?
the way he said it made me think he was about to spell it like it was a spelling bee.
Rhino.
Yeah, what is it and how do you spell it? Go.
Don't tempt me. Rhinoplasty. It's a so it. How familiar are you with home interiors?
Super.
Very much.
I live in one.
Yeah.
You and I did some destruction on them back in high school. So
Okay, so they use this thing called plaster, and they use it on the ceilings. And it's kind of like a goop that fills in spots, and you can kind
Similar to like
play.
Gorilla Glue.
of not sticky. It's just like
Oh.
a
Plaster
weaker.
of Paris, basically.
Is it asbestos based?
Depends on what country you're in.
Okay. I guess.
Anyway, rhinoplasty is a way to manufacture plaster, but it's done with rhinos, and that's why there's not many rhinos left.
Hmm.
Are there any rhinos injured during the making of this plaster?
Yes,
Wow. Is it made of rhinos?
yes.
Oh. Which part specifically? Just ground up rhinos?
See,
is this why they go after their horns so viciously?
Kind-
Rhinoplasty is used from rhino horns?
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
They sell the rhino horns for the ivory. They typically cut that off and then push the rest of the rhino into a blender.
Wow. It's gotta be a serious blender if it's blending rhinos.
Yeah, they're typically like 700 to 1,000 horsepower.
That's a lot of
Big
horses.
big old electric motors with a lot of torque and big gearboxes and stuff.
Interesting. So,
Mhm.
do they just leave everything in there? They don't like drain the blood or anything. They just.
They put in some additives and stuff, and it just all kind of turns into like gray goop.
I see. And who uses this stuff?
Um, a lot of people. Most people don't care what their plaster is made of or comes from, as long as it looks nice.
So then
Uh,
the plaster is edible?
no, because of
Nutritious,
the other
maybe?
because of the other chemicals and stuff in it that they mix in after they blend the rhino.
Seems like a colossal waste of like perfectly good rhino hearts.
Um, Sometimes I've heard of those being removed before. Typically, it's a lot of effort to
Well, yeah.
just go in and
To kill
Ex-
a
extract.
rhino and then remove its heart and then take its body and then shove it in an industrial blender.
yeah. Well, they don't. Yeah, just taking the time to like go in and get the heart. You can just like
I guess.
synthetically grow it or find a substitute.
Genetically engineered rhino clones.
That's being looked into. Yes.
Yeah, because we're
Due to
running
the-
low on rhinos. What's next? Giraffes?
Um,
'Cause, I mean, what are they really useful for?
I've heard it might be badgers.
Badgers. Badgerplasty. Heard.
Good luck. I don't blame
I'm just gonna let you know that honey badger don't care, so
Exactly.
come at him.
Yeah,
Toss them in that
see,
blender, see what happens.
The,
Poor Blender
typically,
never had a chance.
the more dangerous animals with like the really tough hides do very well with rhinoplasty.
Mhm.
Although I guess you'd call it something else. they transfer it to a
Badger
another animal.
class.
Murder. Rhino murder.
The guys in the rhinoplasty business don't like to use that word. They like to say,
So
Industrialization.
oh, you have a question?
I do. How do you get away with doing this still since they're technically extinct right now? Like, there's so few of them that they are on the extinct list. How do you, as an expert of this practice, justify killing them still to make interior decorations?
Is a lot of money made from one rhino.
A lot of cover up.
Like
All right,
you don't understand
Oh, now I want to
how
know.
much money.
You're out of time, but I really want to know how much square foot of plaster you can get out of one rhino.
Oh, it's not really about the quantity. I mean, it's still a lot. It's probably about close to a swimming pool, like a
Wow,
1,000 gallons.
that's a lot
It's
of.
just
With
Ah.
like the additive and all the stuff that's mixed in,
I can
you
understand.
get about like $20 million a rhino.
Worth. All right, Seth. What is
A
it?
lot of money. All right. So Blaze, really impressed. 100% wrong.
1,000% wrong.
So
I would be sad if
rhinoplasty.
I was right.
I would hope so.
So rhinoplasty is actually nose surgery. Rhino meaning nose, plasty being plastic. So literally nose plastic. And
Yeah.
it was actually the original surgery was performed back in 600 BC by Stashruta, who was actually considered the father of plastic surgery. His first
Wait.
one, plastic surgery was actually a thing all the way back then. The process for his version of rhinoplasty involved taking two reeds, sticking it up the person's nose to keep its shape.
Oh.
Then he would take a sharp knife. Of course, this is after getting the person completely plastered, so they did not kick and scream. And then basically scraping the nose down
Yeah.
to smooth it out and everything, getting rid of all the ugly bits. Then he would use a leaf to measure the nose, and then put it on the forehead to cut around the leaf, but still keeping connected, doesn't remove the top of the forehead skin, and then brings it down over the now raw, scraped off nose, and sutures it to their face. Then he covers
Leaf?
the entire thing in wraps and puts sesame seed on it regularly to keep it healthy. And once everything regrows
People
as
signed
it
up for
should,
this, or this dude was a serial killer?
Dude.
it actually worked.
That
I
sounds
mean,
rough.
yeah. Keep in mind, this is also around the time where they had, they believe drilling holes in the heads kind of release evil spirits. So,
Oh, yeah.
little known fact about that. Apparently, around 10 to 15% of the world's population actually had that surgery.
Holy hell.
Now,
Holes in the head?
yes. So, you had more likely chance of having that procedure than being ginger.
Huh. I'm not gonna lie, if I haven't thought about drilling a hole in my head once or twice when my headaches were really bad. But
Well,
yeah. That's
Now,
rough.
Also-
Anyway. Next topic.
so Fuzz, you are the foremost expert on zoanthropy.
Zoanthropy.
Right, go.
And it is in the chat, so you can look at it, but zoanthropy.
Zoanthropy. I hope.
So
Fuzz, what is it?
it's the anthropological study of animals.
Cheese and rice.
Let me back up a little bit here.
No, it's fine. I'll just turn you down. Stay close to your mic. It's better.
Yeah, zoanthropy is the anthropological study of animals. So, like, normally we have regular anthropology, which we study humans with, but zoanthropy, we study animals with, we study their societies and how they function and that sort of thing. Like really interesting stuff about structures and different sort of, I don't know, like I don't know how you would say that other than zoanthropy. It's just such a part of me. Yeah, that's basically it, though. You're studying animals on that level,
So the anatomical study of animals.
not anatomical. Um,
The study of the
it's
animal
more,
kingdom.
Anthropological of
it's
study of animals is what he
Oh.
said.
anthropological study of animals.
Anthropological.
So,
Okay.
so is that how you differ from like zoology?
Yes, yeah. So like it's different. It's almost
Like
like
patterns and social behaviors.
yeah. So,
Okay.
psychological in a lot of ways. And,
Oh, psychological.
I see.
How many lions? I'm assuming that you're taking these clients in and having chats with them on their mental health. How many lions, lionesses do you see and talk to about their raw bloodshed? You know, how do you really get in the mental state to talk to these bloodthirsty
None.
killers?
None. The psychology is mostly done through actions. So we
Several
watch
inches
how
of
they
glass.
interact with each other,
Mm.
and study their patterns and their biology, basically, and their survival instincts and all that stuff. You know, I mean, it's not just dry like that because a lot of animals are playful, but structurally and hierarchically, um, these animals definitely have things that can be studied and laid out and expressed.
That's fair.
All right. So obviously, going back to kind of what Ryan was saying, but taking it a step further, you being
I would
the
do that.
foremost expert in this field, you should obviously have a certain animal group that you are an expert with, correct? Like, what's the one that you have the most time devoted to?
Chimpanzees. I think that's the hot thing in our field, right? Like there are other things to study, but like chimpanzees are that's the thing, and that's why I got in this field in the first place because they're so human-like in the way they operate.
Seth, your people.
My people.
Your people. Yes.
I
Are you
mean,
trying to say the chimps are the simps?
That is not what I was trying to say. I was more trying to call you a monkey, but that's
That's fair.
okay.
But chimps are the
Anyway.
simps is also eloquent, and I like that. So
Yeah, really, I
Chimps-
just kind of
chimps for
I thought of
simps.
it, so I feel like it had to be said. Anyway,
We're on
not to
YouTube. We
give-
can say that. It's fine.
Yeah, not to give Fuzz an out here. So then, what is the most interesting behavioral aspect you've discovered here?
I was going
Or-
to ask what the dumbest was.
You can do that next.
uh, well, the most interesting behavioral aspect is obviously the ability to communicate with them. They're very smart, and they can study humans, and they can learn. This is quite a bit beyond like your dog learning to open its own cage. Like you can do sign language and stuff. A chimp that is properly educated, I guess you could say, and knows how to express itself with another human will show the full range of humans' emotions: love, fear, hate, aggression, that kind of stuff. So it's really, really interesting to see how that works.
So I'm pretty sure they hunt in packs, and it's terrifying.
Don't they
Yeah,
also eat monkeys?
is there any?
Monkey.
What's the risk of them rising up and then overthrowing humanity?
Has the government sold them weapons yet?
Not to my knowledge. That's an interesting question. The government may have weaponized chimpanzees. I don't know.
Chimps with lasers. Oh god.
How do they answer when presented with the real card scenario?
With the what scenario?
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The train scenario.
Train scenario.
A small number.
Do they
lost,
sacrifice
but
sacrifice the few to save the many?
The many to save the few.
They typically tend to do whatever answer benefits themselves the most.
And even though he is out of time, they're not known to show remorse because they're terrifying. Monkeys are terrifying. So go ahead, Zach. Tell us what it is.
So it does have to do with animals,
Mhm.
sort of, but it's more to do with people. It's a mental disorder in which a person believes they've become an animal.
Ooh.
Oh,
So, they like truly believe they have morphed into another species and they act like it. Like this is the broad term. You've probably heard of like lycanthropy, which is like where someone believes they've turned into a wolf man.
no, it's an actual
Um,
condition in which you're bitten by a werewolf and are henceforth turned into a werewolf. That's
Or you
legit.
wear
that's just a
That's
subcategory of
legitimate. Yeah.
zoanthropy.
or if you
So,
wear
Any
a
werewolves in the
wolf
chat, hit me
skin
up.
given to you by Satan.
Yeah.
so,
I can deal with
um,
the demon.
some of the major ones are lycanthropy, hippanthropy, which is when a person believes they are a horse now, and then
Huh.
boanthropy, which is where they believe they're a cow. So,
Snake. Oh, I thought it was gonna be snake. I was sure. I was so sure that was gonna be snake. Snake. Snake.
it's not very common, as in there's only been 56 recorded cases in the history of knowing about this in the humankind. Like there may have been others, but they weren't recorded.
I gotta ask how this is different from believing you're a furry. I gotta know.
Well, this is an actual mental disorder. I don't know
I would make the
anything else.
argument that being a furry is also a mental disorder.
Maybe they have zoanthropy. Maybe that is the
Maybe.
real name for it.
It's just undocumented.
Well, let's this though. But the difference I would think here is that zoanthropy sufferer truly believes that they are the animal, versus a furry is someone that idolizes the idea.
Talk about
but
the
recognizes
Chad
the fantasy.
zoanthropy sufferer versus the beta furry wannabe. Blaze, I'm gonna need that meme. I'm gonna need the meme
Wait.
for the video. I need you to get
Okay.
on it.
I'm writing them down. Give me a second.
You write it down. I need you to make that meme so I can put it in the video. Send it to me. Send it to me so I can put it in the
Thumbnail.
video.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, thumbnail. This is great. I'm so glad. I gotta download the Adobe thing too. But that was our segment. Thanks guys for listening to what turned out to be kind of weird and honestly a little terrifying. But before we get into like the like million things that have happened in the week, since Seth brought that up and I've been thinking about it, I did want to ask you guys just like, is there a particular like medieval or early current medical age procedure that you would absolutely not want to have done?
Lobotomy, without a doubt.
I was thinking like having a limb cut off.
I can live without a limb. If they lobotomize you, you're literally a zombie.
Yeah, but then you don't have to worry about it
Not
anymore.
always.
You know, like if you become a zombie, like you're really not even there anymore, so you don't feel the pain. You don't really feel.
Bro, I work with people all the time that have lost limbs. You can get through that.
I know, but I
We're
wouldn't
not talking about the recovery. We're talking about the procedure itself.
Would you want to undergo? What would you absolutely not want to have happen to you? And we're not going to go with like tortures because there's some really messed up tortures out there.
I would not want to be tied to 4 horses and ripped apart. I feel like that would be an awful way to go. But
well,
bull would also be pretty bad too.
I want to save this for next week. The worst. Yeah, but and I was with you there, Seth. That was the first thing that came to my mind. But like,
what is? Oh, never mind. We'll save it for next week if we're doing tortures next week.
Yeah, tortures next week.
Mine, they used to bleed people out to try to get rid of illnesses. Like they would drain you of all your blood. You just sat there and watched as your blood left your like tons of people died, and this was fairly regular practice by doctors.
And then they started using
you
leeches.
Just watch it, you die.
Which leeches, the reason they were so popular is because they were a safer method than just having someone slit a wrist. And
now
blood go.
Is it just ticks that explode if they drink too much? Do leeches do that as well, or do they know when they've had too much?
I thought leeches fell off.
Maybe that's what it is.
Leeches fall off if they're. I'm pretty sure.
Dude, can I just say how appreciative I am that at least some of the eldritch horrors that are actually real are kind enough to apply anesthetic before they like munch on you.
True. Well,
you know,
I mean, it makes
like leeches apparently aren't painful because they apply anesthetic to the skin, so you don't feel them bite you. But if you were like to watch it, they have teeth. It's terrifying.
Yeah, they're scary.
Yeah, like a lamprey.
Yeah, and at least like mosquitoes are kind enough to like deaden the skin before they bite you, even though it really wouldn't hurt that bad. But like,
Leeches do that too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Versus
It
like a
makes
Komodo
sense, though,
dragon,
from
which would bite you, and just like melt the skin around the bite, or certain spiders that would do the same thing.
But the difference is, though, what the end goal is. Like, for the Komodo dragon, its goal is to eat you. For the spider, similar thing, evaporate your insides to suck up the fluids. But for leeches, ticks, flies,
They just want your
or
blood.
mosquitoes, yeah, they want your blood. And so the best
Flies.
survival thing for them to do is for you to keep living and producing said blood and not to know that they're there. Because if they know that they're there, you're likely to retaliate.
Vampires do the same thing. Just saying. Blaze, Fuzz, we need your way in.
No, that was my thought. Was are we now saying that there's a branch of vampires that has numbing capabilities so they can take their victims unawares?
I mean, canonically, it's vampires' saliva is numbing, so that they can bite you, and then you like wiggle less because it doesn't hurt that bad, and then they just drain you dry. Yeah.
So if someone's trying to lick you, then next you might want to be careful.
Yeah, if they lick you and then that spot starts to like tingle and you don't feel anything, you should definitely be careful. But I think at that point, if they've licked you, it's probably too late.
I mean, I would say that if anybody licks you and it starts to tingle, for any reason, you might want to be careful.
And I would once again iterate, it's too late. It's probably too late.
I kind of want to go back to Ryan's question and hear everyone else's answer. What would you say is the most terrifying modern practice to be
Old
performed
practice.
in the
Old practice
Old practice.
that was just like horrifying. Like,
Well,
Real
I mean,
quick,
that's what I mean,
before we
like
get
a
off
modern
leeches.
procedure that like today we don't think of as a big deal, but take it back hundreds or thousands of years and do the same procedure, and it's like absolutely nightmarish.
Before we get off leeches, fun fact, they have made a comeback in medicine. Surgeons keep leeches on hand now to help drink up blood as a mini vacuum to clear out cavities while they're trying to do surgery.
Interesting. How do they keep the leech from like latching on?
I don't know.
they probably just wait till it's done. It's just done. And then they like when it falls off, they just scoop it up.
So they're apparently really good at cleaning up blood.
They are that. Fuzz, Blaze, what do you got?
I'm not super familiar with old world medical procedures, but I'm looking it up. Oh,
Like even pregnancy.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Well, like
Yeah.
if you think
There's a
about,
reason they died.
yeah, I was gonna say if you think about the total number of people on this planet, and you have to imagine that like at least a third of the women before like 1500 BC probably died in childbirth. How many more people would there have been if we had started to develop this kind of medicine sooner? Like I'm sure that it wasn't like 50% of women died, but it's even still now a somewhat dangerous procedure to give birth. Like Seth and I have a sister because we're brothers who almost kicked the bucket giving birth to her baby. I mean, it was afterwards, but still, if we didn't have modern medicine, she totally wouldn't have made it. So, like, even in today's time, like, it still happens. It would have been much worse, like, 2,000 years ago.
people used to. I found a topic that's fairly unpleasant.
Hell yeah, let's
They
go.
used to use mercury as a elixir and topical medicine.
And as we know nowadays, mercury is very poisonous.
Yep.
I believe that there was one of the inspirations for a game that we played, Bloodborne, took a lot of inspiration from
Oh yeah.
a village in Japan that suffered from mercury poisoning from, I believe, like a local company, I think maybe in a fishing company, that was just dumping mercury into the lake. And the first signs of it they had actually came from their cats, who, in their mercury poisoned state, would stand up on two legs and just kind of flail about as they were basically spasming. And that's how the village became known as the Village of the Dancing Cats.
And that's how we got Bloodstarved Beast.
Yeah. And then later on, of course, the people started getting the dancing cat sickness, so to speak, which they at the time thought it was like evil spirits or something. Of course, some thought like there was actually a disease.
That's when they start drilling
Now
holes
we
in your
know.
head.
Yeah.
Neko! Evil Neko!
Poisoning. Luckily, well, I'm not trying to say luckily, but at least it happened in modern enough times that we have moved past the hole drilling head thing.
Have we?
Which, by the way, that procedure would also suck a lot, because not always was it just like a few little holes. They would take chunks of your scalp off, and it was from the evidence they found on skulls of these, procedure survivors, if you want to put it that way, is after the procedure was done, they would continue about their day with just their brain exposed.
Yeah, well, when you think about modern medicine and what it took for us to get to this point, it took some truly like horrible things to happen to people. And, I think about this way more than is probably healthy and more than I should, of like people who undergo or have undergone that kind of treatment only to like die. And it's like, how many thousands of people have had to experience just the worst things imaginable to a person? And like we may have grown out of it as a species, but how many people had to undergo that and just had to deal with that? Because that's awful. Like, what's the worst thing that happens to it today? Like, today you get in a car accident or something. Like, you stub your toe and you complain about it on Twitter. Like, at least no one's taking an old school hand drill to your head and cutting pieces of your scalp off.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Stuff doesn't worry me. The stuff that worries me is, like, what are the stuff like that we're doing now?
It doesn't worry me. I'm not worried it's going to happen to me. I think about it.
Well, I know. But if you're thinking... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'll get a hand drill later, Fuzz. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
There's more dangerous stuff now, but it's more like
more efficient,
accident.
Efficient stuff now. What were you gonna say, Fuzz?
Well, no, I kind of think about it in the sense of like they're doing these things that don't actually work, like lobotomizing people that are horrific, right? Mm-hmm. What are we doing now that's like that we don't, because we don't have the knowledge,
Something I'm probably not going to say on this podcast.
Okay, well, that's fair. I had thought of something I'm not going to say on this podcast.
You know what's a wicked nasty surgery nowadays that if they did it back then, it would just, I don't know how they would have done it, but knee surgery, like knee replacements, are disgusting.
No, they just cut that off. They just cut it off.
Yeah, back then. But like even now it is a brutal surgery. So they cut your knee open like a foot and like a foot long, and then they cut off your knee, like the bones right there, and then replace it all, which is just wild.
The crazier part is that some of that's like outpatient now.
Yeah, my dad's was outpatient. Like even 10 years ago, you were in an inpatient rehab facility for like a month or two, and my dad literally went in and he went home the same day.
What the hell?
Like,
how far are
what
we
we
from
can
just
do with our bodies is
cells?
Absolutely astounding compared to what we could do before.
Are you drunk? Is that what's
Zach
happening?
Said, no, I just
Absconding.
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 Like you were saying, like
Abscond!
Something like a knee surgery, but like other things too, like just like reconstructive surgery, like
skin grafts.
Some of the people, skin grafts. We knew a fellow that had a limp most of his life because his legs were actually not the same length. One of them was longer than the other, and so he actually could get a surgery where they extended his leg, where now he can walk even.
They just
cut. You were going with
they
that.
just cut a little bit more leg off on the other side.
They cut a little bit of the skin off on the bottom of his foot to shorten up his other leg.
He added in a plastic lift. Oh man, I mean, yeah, like the stuff we can do with medicine now and the procedures we can do, our understanding of the human body is ridiculous, and I think there's still so much stuff we don't know. But I'm glad
Not
to be
just
living in this part of history, as far as
from the
medicine
fort.
goes.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I still sometimes have to think I'm a mixture of I'm so glad to live in the time I am, and also saddened because I know of what I will never be able to see.
well, it's like, yeah, but for me, it's like, look how far we've come in some aspects, and look how much we like regress in other aspects. Like technologically, we're advancing so fast, and we're learning so much, and it's so cool. And then you think about the stuff that's happening socially and the way that people are as a whole, and it's like, dude, there are so many cool things we could be focused on, and we are focused on the wrong things. It's like,
See, people have always been messed up,
I
which
know.
is
This has always been like, and this has always been the case, right? You've had the people who progress technology, and then the people who are more worried about social things, and it's like you need both folks. But we should be really concerned about like shooting rockets into space, like what's happening on Mars, what's happening on Jupiter. Like, what was it? Germany? Was it Germany or Russia that launched a probe onto Venus recently?
Did it melt
Sure, it wasn't
Yeah,
pretty
Europe.
quickly
it
after it
melted
arrived? But
super quick.
still,
But still, we did that. We should be more concerned about like doing that and being able to like make a rover that maybe lasts longer than 2 minutes or whatever it was.
the fact that we are able to get to these regions of space, though, is still mind blowing to me. Like,
I love it.
I do.
And also a great example of how we waste money when like there are people literally dying in our country from starvation. But that's neither here nor there. But
Mm.
I would argue that's less of a waste of money than any entertainment center you find.
Truth, maybe?
well, entertainment keeps people happy and not murdering their friends, their like
Yeah.
neighbors, people across town, and stuff.
I understand the thought of exploring space, but in practice it just seems like a big waste of money.
Minerals?
Okay,
I
so
disagree.
I have a thought based on what Blaze was saying. Do you think that social media of today is the modern Colosseum of the Roman era?
Hell no.
I think
It's
it's the downfall of humanity.
I think
I
you
would.
could, at least you could kill people in the Colosseum.
It's more like a Wild West where like
Well,
But
where the sheriffs and stuff only police one side, but I mean, yeah.
in terms of like placating the people with entertainment,
No, I think that's what Hollywood does. I don't think that's what social media does. I think social media would like to think it's the thought coliseum of today, but it's kind of not. Like,
I mean, like half of well, there's a lot of fake stuff that gets put around that's
yeah,
like oh look at this person doing a terrible thing and then like the whole thing's staged and it's
and
done for clicks.
I don't know, maybe Fuzz, maybe you're more not interested, maybe you're more educated on the Colosseum and how that went. I can imagine the Colosseum was probably bent more towards like keeping people imprisoned and keeping gladiators coming through the door. So in that sense, maybe did they consider the Colosseum to be particularly like biased or like unlawful or
I mean, it was a Machiavellian enterprise. There was unrest, and so they literally instituted the Colosseum so that people would
it
be
was a
like
distraction?
entertained. Yeah, it's a distraction.
I don't think social media is a distraction so much as it's a place for people to just go and like say say things that they don't feel comfortable saying around their peers or around everyday people. You know, it's not a battleground per se.
I,
It's a sounding board. It's a street corner where people go and just yell in the wind and then wait for somebody to say something.
Like an anti-Colosseum.
I'm not showing it. I'm not thinking of it as a battleground. I'm thinking about it on a more schematic level, where it's like it's serving the same purpose because like social media is a distraction from real life.
I was
Oh,
thinking more so in like the vicious side of it, where those people might get the thrill of helping decide the fate of someone, right? You know, Emperor
Maybe.
stands up to decide if someone should live or die, turns to the crowd. thousands of cheering either yes
That
or
would
no.
be an interesting thesis, Seth. I really like where your head's at on that.
Maybe I want to.
Uh,
I
Was
just
it?
think of it like similarly when the like with the cancel culture thing, right? You get a group of people that just seem to thrill about socially killing somebody.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it's not socially killing someone. It's taking the moral high ground on something. They enjoy taking something away from someone they see as evil or bad, and in their mind, it's the good guy triumphing over the bad guy.
Well,
When in most cases, if you're to go back and look at like a lot of famous villains, there's a lot of gray.
I mean, I would say then that that's like Colosseums in that you're dehumanizing people, as the gladiators were people and they were dehumanized for their sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were actually dying. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So I could definitely agree with you. I'm trying to think of who it was. I was listening to a podcast or somebody's internet show the other day, and they were talking about the merits of social media and whether or not it's been a good thing. And my first thought was, no, there should be no social media. And then I had to step back and be like, you know what, that's not the answer. That's not the right answer. Right? You need to be able to express your thoughts, and everyone should, is entitled to their thoughts and opinions on the internet, and they should be allowed to post it. I think it's just that anonymity has created this like dark cloud over the internet where you can make up a fake name and have a fake profile picture, live in a city that you don't actually live in, and like if you took anonymity away from people on the internet,
Mhm.
I think the internet would be a very different place.
Well, I think that's
Well,
a huge part of it for sure, but I also think the physical distance is a thing too, because there's things that people say on the internet they would never say to somebody's face.
I
Absolutely.
think
Keyboard
less
warriors.
so. I understand where both of you are coming from, and I'm not 100% disagreeing. There's definitely a lot of truth to that. I would argue that since that was the case since the beginning of the internet, right? But it was okay. Versus what's happening modern day, and the reason why it's such an issue is people could post whatever they want, say whatever they want, but nothing really ever came from it, other than maybe hurting the person at the other side's feelings.
No,
And
well, I mean, you're right, but I want to go back to the days of lolcats and people saying, "Oh, that was a troll, bro. You didn't understand that was a troll. Ha, it's just a trick, bro. It's just a troll. Leave it alone." Then they post a troll face, and then nobody's mad. Versus now, when people troll, you get people fired
that's my
from their
point. Like
from their
there's actual
jobs.
consequences now
Yeah,
to certain things, and you actually have people that have
but that's
pseudo power. Like let's go
but
back a
that's
couple
that's
years
only
ago to the Starbucks thing.
But that's only because these companies have decided to exert power, and companies have folded to the mob mentality when you realize that a bunch of voices on Twitter don't actually hold any power unless you give them power.
Exactly, but that's my point. Is previously the voices had no power, but now they do. So now there's a negative aspect to it.
Reminds me of
And some,
crypto. Like crypto only has the value that you give it.
yeah. Well, I mean that's anything in this world.
Just about. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Oh, okay.
Crypto drink. I don't know. I don't have a funny thing. But no, that's social media inherently is not a bad thing. Just about with everything in this world, the bad side of it comes from how you use it. Poison used in the right dose, in the right circumstance, can be life saving.
I guess that's true. I don't know though. I feel like where we're at now is that social media is being used to silence one side and make it a one-sided thing, and that's the problem.
Well,
So
yeah, that there's a lot of truth to that, but I think the other part of that truth is it's really one platform here, right? Let's be honest. We're talking about Twitter mainly, and a bit of Facebook, but the more active people tend to lean towards that one side that you're talking about, Zach, or at least I believe so. And so the other side generally isn't as active on it, and therefore that leads to part of the abuse.
Well, we could have a podcast on this forever. I would like to know what Blaze's thoughts are if he wants to share them. Otherwise, we could move on to other news and maybe have this discussion on the side. I'd like to have a couple of you guys on maybe later in the week, and we can just record us talking about this, and we can put it up.
It's just kind of a bunch of ego rubbing.
I would agree. Isn't that what we're doing, in a way?
In a way, not the same way.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, I don't want to start just like labeling things and throwing labels out, I guess, for myself, but I tend to be kind of introverted in a sense. Like, even when I'm online and if I'm on Twitch or something and I'm in somebody's chat or I watch somebody's videos over and over, I don't leave comments, you know? I don't talk in Twitch chat, really. I don't post things on Twitter. Like, I have my own voice, I have my own thoughts, but I just don't share them on the internet because that's not really my bag. But sharing videos and sharing your thoughts on Twitter takes a certain amount of ego, right? To feel like you need to have your voice heard takes a certain level of vulnerability and ego that I don't think everybody has, you know? Especially the older generation who don't care.
I'd agree with that.
Are you considering yourself part of the older generation?
Dude, I'm basically a boomer. I'm older than
You're
Google is.
basically really not.
Called him a boomer
I'm
a
older
couple
than
times,
Google
and that's
is,
it.
so-
He accepts.
Fuzz is older than Google too.
That's true.
We remember AOL. We are pre-internet babies.
Well, that kind of raises a point I've been thinking of, which is basically what everyone knows or should know. There's the silent majority versus the active minority, and we see a lot of the active minority that makes it seem like things are a lot worse out there.
Well, that's the thing.
Certain things, like there's a overwhelmingly positive popular opinion when if you, I believe, actually get out to the weeds, poll the U.S.,
Which
you
is
find
why-
the majority don't agree with that.
But that's why it's important that that even if you don't normally do that or you don't want to, that you still speak up when you feel like wrong is happening. Because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I'm not drunk, you're drunk. So it's hard, man. Used to be this kind of stuff, like any policy or any active discussion would happen out on a town square or it happened in a public forum of some kind. Like, remember when we used to have town hall meetings? I've never been to one, but I'm starting to consider going to one whenever they start happening again. But I don't know. That's too deep for a podcast about stupid stuff. It's far enough in. It's about stupid shit. It's far enough into the podcast. There's a ton of news, ton of stuff happened this week, especially in gaming. It's been a hotbed for gaming news. Let's see, the PlayStation State of the Game happened after BlizzCon last week.
State of play.
State of play, whatever, man. I don't care what they call it. It's the Nintendo Direct for PlayStation.
I actually don't know much
Nintendo
about that.
Nintendo Direct had one earlier this week on was it this week or last week? There was a Nintendo Direct.
Last week we talked about it. Last week.
We talked about. I thought we talked about the
we had the
BlizzCon.
Nintendo and the BlizzCon.
And the
both.
BlizzCon. All right, it's starting to all run together. But yeah, PlayStation had its thing, and then Pokemon had its 25th anniversary announcement, which was pretty. I guess it's big. It was pretty big, I suppose.
It was, yeah,
I'm torn on that one.
ecstatic.
But yes, I know some of the biggest announcements, or the biggest announcement from the PlayStation event was the new DLC for Final Fantasy VII, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is also getting PS5 support, and it looks amazing. If you watch the video on YouTube, the PS5 version looks so good. Lots of screen flaring.
So pretend I haven't watched this because I haven't. What is the DLC for, and how does it differ from Part 2?
Well, it's just I don't know. Actually, it's just a short episode about Yuffie. Is what it is.
They're adding another character from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, so
still
another-
no talk even about Part 2. They
Another
haven't even-
two characters.
They've not even mentioned it ever.
Yeah.
All they've ever said was that it was going to be a multi-part work series, and then that's all they've ever said. They've never even talked about Part 2 technically live.
And considering where they left off, this is going to be like a 4 game.
Literally, Part
I don't
1,
know,
you
man.
don't even leave Midgar, which
Yeah.
is, you leave Midgar on
So-
disc 1.
So soon.
Like halfway
Yeah.
through disc 1, and this is a 3-disc game.
This is a surprising lack of chocobos. I need
and
my
the
chocobo game.
series.
I need my chocobo game that's impossible to beat.
It's coming. I'm sure
It
it's
was not
coming.
impossible to beat. Me and Blaze beat it.
Well, you guys are better gamers than I am, I guess. I'm a
Yes.
boomer, I guess. But that was, they announced a bunch of titles I didn't know about in the PlayStation What'd you say it was? The state of play?
State of play.
State of play, not state of the game. What is state of the game? Who does that?
No one.
No one.
Something
Where did
you
I?
made
I
up.
think
Where
you're
did I
thinking of
come up with
Stata.
that? It's good. We should keep that.
It's
Then-
in your head. That could be the title of our gaming segment, State of the Game.
It's always all in my head. Yeah, they got support now for Crash Bandicoot 4. They're adding a bunch of features to that. Knockout City was announced, but not Nintendo announced Knockout City last week as well. At BlizzCon, I think, also announced it. It's going to be super cross-platform, so if it's on PlayStation, it'll be on Switch, it'll be on Xbox, it'll probably be on PC too.
They talked about Deathloop, which is an interesting looking game where you have to die continuously to figure out how to beat the game.
Serious
Kind of like-
BioShock vibes.
So
Yeah.
Serious
Not like
BioShock
not like Dark Souls. Like you start the same day over again, and like it's the same day. It's like Groundhog Day,
Yeah.
but a
Game?
shooter. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah,
It's made by the people that did Dishonored.
Yeah. It's serious BioShock Dishonored vibes.
But it's in an interesting state because Xbox technically owns that studio now because they bought all of that, all of the Arcane and Bethesda. So
Yeah.
so Xbox owns that studio, but they're making this is a PlayStation exclusive game. So it's kind of weird
Yeah.
that
Okay.
you're gonna have a brought to you by Xbox logo on your PlayStation exclusive game. I don't know. To me, that's
Microsoft,
funny.
yeah.
That's next gen cross-platform.
Seth, are you my Five Nights at Freddy's dude?
I watch people
maybe
stream it. I do not play it.
Maybe it was just you watched a ton of Markiplier. If I play Five Nights at Freddy's,
I have watched like a lot of Markiplier.
And never watched a
and-
single moment of it.
I mean, I only know about
I
it
do like all the
offhand, but
series.
they're finally adding another iteration of it, and it looks just the
Creepy.
most creepy it could be.
Isn't it
like-
like in a mall? Remember?
Yeah,
Or
basically.
something like that.
Security breach is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Just dude, the trailer is just so creepy.
I have to watch. I've seen
you've ever-
the first trailer. I haven't seen the second one.
If you've ever been an adult that felt uncomfortable at Chuck E. Cheese, this is this times 1,000.
Yeah. They also talked about the Kenna Bridge of Spirits game, which I don't know if I'd play it. I'd maybe watch somebody play it, but it is beautiful. Like it looks like an anime.
I've gotta like double check my
Is that
spell
the-
check. Spell check is really
What's that
screwing me on
Square
some of these
Enix one,
names.
is it?
Mine says Kenya, Kenya Bridge of Spirits.
It's
Square Enix was
K-E-N-A.
showing
I know,
off
but it
a
autocorrected.
new
That's
game.
not my fault.
Square Enix, all they talked about was Final Fantasy VII stuff.
Yeah,
They
they
all have
didn't
two
really.
mobile games coming out. One of them a battle royale. A Final Fantasy VII battle royale.
Leave a comment in the chat if you're done with battle royales at this point. I think most of us are battle royale out. Fortnite is still
Played-
popular, and Warzone is still super popular, which is getting a zombies mode for some reason. They're adding zombies to Warzone.
It's not
Whatever.
Zombies Warzone. It's like an open world zombies experience.
Wait,
So
what is
that's-
this game?
Yeah.
Call of Duty,
Sure.
not World at War.
I thought they were
Cold War.
calling it Warzone. I thought it was still Warzone.
It's called Outbreak. Call of Duty Outbreak.
Interesting. So
They
they
should-
finally decided to make the Call of Duty Zombies game that people have been asking for.
Yeah,
It's
and-
part of, but
and
it's
then
just a
not
mode
fix-
on the current
and then not
game.
fix their multiplayer.
Never mind.
And not fix their
Um,
multiplayer. Fix your multiplayer, Treyarch. We'll play it
No,
again
they-
if they
they'll
fix your
still-
multiplayer.
Nah, they'll
I
still
won't.
people buy
I'm
it.
done.
Blaze and I will play your
I'm
multiplayer
not.
if you fix
I'm
it.
not buying another Call of Duty. I am officially
Yeah,
out.
you will. Yeah, you will.
I'm out, bro.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see in
When-
November.
The only way. This is the only
We'll
caveat.
see in November.
If they remake Modern Warfare 2,
They won't do it. They already did
for
it.
tit, no, they made the campaign. They didn't make the multiplayer.
They remastered
if
it.
they, not the multiplayer, just the
I
campaign.
thought they did the multiplayer too.
No. If they remake it and do not change anything, like that's my biggest problem with like Cold War and stuff. Like they had to add in all this other extra crap, and they changed the maps and like all these maps that were supposed to be brought back from like the original Black Ops and Black Ops 2 that everyone loved.
They never
They
did.
added
Yeah.
they added
never did.
extra crap to them that ruined it. They ruined the experience. So like they need to, if they're, that's the only way I buy another Call of Duty, if they just make it prettier, Modern Warfare. Don't change the servers, be the same servers and everything. Like
Be honest with yourself. You just want COD with stopping power.
Bring
What do
back
you think about
martyrdom,
stopping
stopping power.
don't bring back Marty.
Commando Pro. I think we all
Actually,
played
Martyrdom's part of Modern Warfare 2. I'd be okay with it. It's
so,
annoying, but you can get through it.
So to tack on the last little bit of the Final Fantasy, I didn't mention it, but they are going to make it so that it is 60 FPS instead of the 30 it's been at. So it's going to look and play great. It's going to also have 4K support. Did you see the Solar
free
Ash
this month? Free
it'll
in
be
March.
It'll be free for PS4 owners, not for PS5 owners though.
Well,
Right?
if you
Maybe I'll
already
check
own
that.
it, you get a free upgrade to the PS5 version, but you can't get the PS Plus version and upgrade it to PS5.
But if you simped for
Makes
Sony and got a
sense.
PS5, you're good.
Yeah,
Like-
I simped for Sony.
Yeah.
Already have it.
We're on YouTube. We
I
can say
did
that
see
word.
Solar Ash. It looks interesting. I don't know what to think of it.
It's like a
Looks like one
platformer.
of those,
Yeah.
it looks like one of those games that speedrunners are going to love.
Yeah, it's a game that I think I'd like to watch people play instead of actually do it myself.
So we kind of indirectly mentioned this already, talking about Nintendo, but Pokemon had a huge list of announcements. Was it this morning? Yeah, this morning.
Yeah, they did.
It was like earlier this
And,
afternoon. Yeah.
It was a pretty big set of announcements. So we're getting a Diamond and Pearl remake for Switch this year, which people have been begging for this. I don't know, Diamond and Pearl came out in what, 2010? 2010? People have been wanting it. Yeah, we did
People
talk
have been
about
calling
that
it
actually.
for a while.
But
Yeah. We all knew it was gonna happen.
officially announced coming out this year, fall, I think they said. And then we're getting an open world story Pokemon game coming out in 2022. And they say it's Breath of the Wild-esque.
It looks Breath of the Wild-esque.
Hold on.
Well, Game Informer calls
Hold
it
on,
Breath of the
hold on,
Wild-esque.
hold on, hold on. Anytime there's a game that's open world, they call it Breath of the Wild-esque just because it's on Nintendo. It's not
that's
Breath
not
of the
true.
Wild-esque.
It's the art style.
It's just
they give it.
open world. No, dude, Pokemon had that same art style in Sword and Shield. It's the same. All they did was add
That's the
fog.
shade.
Not
All
like
they
this.
did was add fog, and now you can roll. I'm not going to disagree that it's open world and you can make that. You can make that
I'm saying
link.
It looks like the same
but-
engine.
But
Yeah, it looks
It
like
looks like they
it's
ripped
got
the
a
engine
certain
from Breath of the
shading
Wild
to
and added
it.
Pokemon to it.
Yeah.
maybe if you want to talk about ripping
And-
engines off, I think they just ripped the engine off of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, downgraded the graphics, and threw that on what was it, Shining Pearl, and Brilliant Diamond or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah,
impressed with that.
Visually, it looked. I'll be honest, it looked terrible.
Which is it's
Not because
not Game Freak. It's a different
Yeah.
studio. So
And which was sad because I thought it looked like they were going to a similar style like they were doing with X and Y and Ruby, Alpha Ruby, Omega Sapphire, or however that one went. But they did it worse. They look like Roblox looking or Mega Bloks Lego characters.
now I'm
Not in a good way.
I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna play it because, to my knowledge, this is gonna be the first main series game developed by someone not Game Freak. And I'm not talking about like
The Legends?
no, because Game Freak's doing Legends. Game Freak is not doing Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl.
Interesting.
It's a different studio. So I'll
you
play it
sure?
to see what they do with it. Yeah, they mentioned it at the end of it, at the end of the presentation, or like right before they announced Legends. I'll double check it just to
So
fact
I
check
shouldn't
myself.
Be excited
but-
about Legends.
Yeah, it's being developed by Ilka.
Yeah,
They're the
Honestly,
studio
you
that
think-
created Pokemon Home.
You would think that a studio being the main creator would be a plus. In Pokemon's case, it's the exact opposite. I would be ecstatic to play games not created by Game Freak anymore.
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah.
I've been
They
losing confidence in Game Freak, which
they're dried up, man.
I've said this in the past. I think it's Nintendo's problem, which is rooted in a even bigger problem, which is we've fallen into this like deadline culture. It's like deadline business. We took video games from a bunch of like really artistic, nerdy people who are giving you uh, their like thought projects, and then they were selling it to you because they also wanted to like make money. So you're talking about Halo, you're talking about WoW, you're talking about the first Diablos, people who wanted to create something and share it with you, to businessmen encroaching on gaming and saying you need to have a new Call of Duty every year because people's attention spans are so short they're not going to play your game for longer than that. And now every main series game, Pokemon included, Mario included, is now releasing new games every year, and it has killed gaming as a hobby. And we have just allowed it by collectively saying that it's okay and then just pooping on games when they take longer than a year to make.
It's also interesting though, because I kind of have a differing opinion. I feel like games can survive much longer than a year. You look at like
Exactly.
Fortnite, Apex, like
Exactly.
all those kind of games, they're free and
Exactly.
they are making more money. They're stronger games than, like, I would say Apex is a better game than any of the Call of Duties that have come out lately. Um,
But that's an
and
effect of the deadline culture, whatever you want to call it. It's the games have gotten worse because businessmen are giving creative people less time to make it in, so they're cutting corners. People roasted Sword and Shield upon its release, or like when they started leaking stuff right before its release for reusing assets from Sun and Moon. And they're like, "How dare you you reuse assets and 3D models and these textures? How dare you do that? We've been waiting on a main series game that was like fully 3D for forever, and how dare you do this?" It's like, dude, you don't realize Nintendo's only giving Game Freak a year at best, 2 years at absolute best to come out with games like these. I think splitting Pokemon games up into different studios is the best you could do, because at least like in Call of Duty, you could have a Pokemon game every other year. That way, Game Freak's working on a game for 2 years, and then what is it? Ilk, you said, is
I think it's
working.
ILCA Ilka.
Yeah, Ilka is working on one, and they have more than a year to get a game out, so we might get better quality games. But I would wait 2 or 3 years for a really good, groundbreaking Pokemon game, that open world one that we really want. I
Well,
would
see,
wait
The
there's
for
an
one
that.
that we're looking
argument
at.
for that, and I don't think it's that people wouldn't wait for the games, but you got to keep in mind, Pokemon as a brand has a lot of other things riding on it: the
It's got
merchandise,
clout.
the
That's
anime,
but
the shows.
that's
Yeah,
why it doesn't need a game every year. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't need that because it's got so much advertising. It's the like second, third biggest brand name on the planet. Like you
but
don't
that's the
need
thing, though,
a
is
main
like they
Pokemon game
rely
every
on the
year.
games to push that next
No, no,
batch
no,
of
no.
merchandise, that next batch of shows,
I think
and
Seth's
you
right.
can.
Oh,
And there is
I'm
another
gonna
side of
fact
it.
check
Like, we
you.
can say Game Freak's the victim here, but Game Freak is also the one for the longest time here that's been holding the reins, saying, "No, you don't give us more. We won't let this go to anyone else. We're not getting any help." And I don't think like either side is completely innocent. Like, sure, I believe Nintendo is giving pressure, but I think Game Freak in some ways is also not doing what they can to help themselves. Like, because Game Freak intentionally keeps their studio very small. The obvious thing is like, okay, if Game Freak, you want complete control, hire other people. Why won't you do that? You're telling me Nintendo's not gonna just open the door to give you as much money as you want, being the biggest franchise you are? And
Like you
Game
said
Freak
that,
is
even though Ilka's the one doing this game, Game Freak has an over like a one of their top member staffs is the director for the game. So even though Ilka's the one developing, they're still forcing another person upon them to direct the game.
which in some ways I can understand and respect that.
Hmm.
Which the problem is why did it take you so long to go this route? And I have to believe at some point someone from the Pokemon Company or Nintendo said, let go of complete control. You got to do something. Or maybe they themselves were open to the idea so they could focus on this new project, Legends.
Yeah.
Oh,
Other big
all
news
things. Go ahead.
today. Monster Hunter Rise is getting a PC port in 2022, so it comes out next month, I think, for Switch, but they are releasing it on PC as well in a year, so that's pretty cool for those that don't have a Switch or have no desire to have a Switch, Blaze. But
So, Monster Hunter, Blaze, Zach got me into the world. Fun time. Like the series. Will not play again.
that's sad because each new game is a whole new world in whole
Exactly,
month,
but
in a month.
I sunk over 800 hours into the first one. And
It wasn't the first one.
okay, the first one for me. First one for me. And then we talk every podcast about all the new games coming out, and I just look at the new Monster Hunter like, man, that's gonna be like half my year, if not all my year, just that game, not touching another. I still didn't play.
Before he goes
Monster
back
Hunter
to what
World
one?
still had more to offer.
Seth, you can't lie to us.
Then
We
we'll
know
go-
where you spend your
And
time.
we'll go back to
You've
Bloodborne,
spent
Dark Souls 3.
thousands of hours in Dark Souls.
How many hours,
Thousands.
Seth? How many hours?
Honestly, if you
More
calculate
time
them up,
than
still
in Dark
probably
Souls
less
than with us.
than.
What are your
Still less than,
what are your Warframe
Monster Hunter
hours?
Probably less than World.
I
Definitely.
just
less.
highly doubt that you spent less time in Dark Souls than you have in World. No way.
But I can kind of prove that because I can just look at my hour history because it has all the logs for it. And I was with you guys. I thought I'd spent more than that. Really, I hadn't, and it makes sense because World required a lot more attention.
Oh,
And
this
plus,
is
I was playing
old.
with you guys, and you guys encouraged me to stay on longer. Dark Souls, I can play for a couple hours, get off. But if we're all on, then I'm more apt to stay on for 5, 6, 7 hours every day.
Yes.
I'm trying very hard to find the breakdown of Nintendo's earnings as to like what is the most profitable of games versus merchandising versus cards, and I would be willing to bet that even though I can't find proof right now, which I will find eventually, that Pokemon cards, which has recently become very, very popular again, probably net them the most money, even though the company is recording record earnings. Which
Well,
I'm not surprised
those
because
cards, though,
there's a pandemic going on.
the cards come from the games. Like, you gotta have the new Pokemon to have the new cards.
Yeah, but it's
That's
not
where it
about.
all cycles back to is the games have to come first because they're the ones forerunning all the other industries.
But they're not-
Literally all the other groups.
But
are
no,
on
they're
hold
not.
until
They're
the
not
games.
leading sales. They're leading hype. That's different.
I
Sales has
to
been
get the hype for a new
merch.
material, though.
Yeah, but you can hype material forever, dude. Take a page out of Elden Ring's book, out of Dark Souls' book. How long can you string? Dude, people waited on Duke Nukem for 10 years, and then spent ungodly amounts of money to get the game, and then were really disappointed because the game kind of sucked. But
we're not
people
talking
waited
about
forever.
an
You could
industry
wait
That's
another year for a Pokemon game. Pokemon hype is not going to die in a year to make a game worth playing.
I don't think you understand fully. I get what you're saying. As fans of games, yes, we can wait, but we're not the ones that they're concerned about. They know the fans will wait.
There's
They're
shareholders.
talking about the little kids, the people collecting the cards.
Dude, they don't
They're trying to
care.
tell someone all the other industries. They do care because those industries make way more than the games ever make them. The
You really-
merchandising industry.
Do you really think, Seth, and this is a real question. Do
Alright.
you think Gavin, our nephew, cares if there's going to be another Pokemon game this year?
Do I think
who is
he
currently-
cares about a game?
Who is currently
No.
really into
What I
Pokemon?
think he cares about
Is new
is
Pokemon
if he sees new
stuff.
cards, or if he sees new.
But you don't need to
a new
release.
cool
You don't
Pokemon.
need to release a game for that. You don't. You don't even need to release new Pokemon for that. If you just change the design of existing Pokemon, which there are over 900 of, by the way, or another anime or another movie that doesn't have to include new Pokemon, or you could throw in new cards that show even the starters of a new series. Like, that would still generate enough hype for it to be worth it. Every time a new release of Pokemon comes out, cards wise, that's still a first edition of that generation, just like Magic cards. You don't need to create another game to generate hype like that. You can generate hype off of existing content, especially when you have so many Pokemon already. Pokemon has already said they're not going to be doing this forever. They're eventually going to run out of Pokemon ideas. You think there's going to be, at some point, 500,000 different Pokemon? We're already scraping the bottom of the barrel when they made an ice cream cone. And that was
Some people would
two
disagree with
generations.
you.
That was 2 generations
A lot
ago.
of people would say that.
Don't they
I
have
disagree that we are scraping the bottom of the barrel in ideas, because just go online and just look up the thousands of Fakemon that people come up with all the time.
Yeah, people aren't
Or
using
even any of the Pokemon knockoffs like
They're not using-
Nexomon
they're
and
not
all the
using
other
those.
ones.
You're trying to say, when you say Pokemon, there is a limit or a cap to the amount of Pokemon someone create, you are saying there is a cap to human creativity, and we have proven in this age that's not the case. Are there going to be similar ideas? Yeah. But you can create. Just
You're going
look
to create
at
a
the
lot of dual
megas.
typing. Yeah.
triple
Look at
typing.
Megas, look
Triple
at,
typing.
Yeah, throw in triple typing, or just throw in variations.
Yeah, like a
New
Loamon.
Pokemon. You could
or whatever.
literally make an
Which
entire
means they're
game
running out of ideas
off
because
regional
they're
variants.
just recreating regular Pokemon. I mean, think about it. How many new Pokemon did they add in Sword and Shield? How many new Pokemon did they add to Sun and
I
Moon?
thought they actually
How many new
added more
Pokemon did
than
they add to
did.
Sun and Moon?
Sun and Moon, they didn't add as many, but I think Sword and Shield, they
Exactly.
added
No,
more.
they didn't. They added more than they did in Sun and Moon, but they didn't add 150. They stopped adding 150 by the time they hit X and Y. They're slowing their pace down of adding new Pokemon because they've just got too many. You know, once you get to 1,000, like, how many Pokemon are you really going to create? And I'm not saying that they're going to do that forever, or they might ever run out of Pokemon. Like, I think they'll eventually have to put a cap on it and be like, that's just too many Pokemon, and we're never going to be able to fit that many in one game. I think at some point they will legitimately say, look, there's over 1,000 Pokemon. We're going to focus on creating games where we can actually incorporate 1,000 Pokemon in one game. But until then, like, you're going to have to, like, I don't know.
But they don't want to do that. That's what Sword and Shield and the huge controversy that came with the no national dex thing was. We're abandoning the older Pokemon to focus only on a handful of them and newer Pokemon going forward.
And they said
they've been
that
doing that game after game.
In a press release that they weren't going to put all of the Pokemon in there because there are too many. And as long as they have a handheld and not a console that can house more RAM and more processing power, you will never get a game from Pokemon that has all of the Pokemon in it.
But that's a different conversation. If you're asking, is there a limit to how many Pokemon they could have in a game? Yes, but you were saying that there's a limit to how many Pokemon they can create. Like, they were scraping idea-wise the bottom of the barrel. My point is, no, they're not. They have shown that they can continuously pump out new Pokemon ideas in terms of, like, physical space and practicality of having, 1,000 Pokemon versus like 150 in a game. That's a different story. That I can agree with you 100% on that point.
And my original point is that Game Freak, Pokemon games do not generate all of their revenue, and it would benefit them to wait an extra year or two to generate a game that is worth playing, because the Pokemon franchise does not need the hype of a new game. A new trading card series or a movie would generate plenty of hype for the young kids who want to enjoy more Pokemon stuff, who aren't playing the games, because I think statistically the people who are playing the games are you and me, the people who have grown up with it, the 20-plus-year-olds who have grown up with Pokemon, who have great nostalgia for it. And at this point, Seth, you and I do it on tradition, whether or not we actually want to play the game. I'm gonna buy the new Diamond and Silver or Diamond and Pearl remakes because it's tradition for us, not because I actually want the game. So, like, that's where their money for the games are coming from. But Their profits come from stuff. They don't need a game to hype stuff.
But they use it for their new ideas. I see what you're saying, and yes, they could. Are there alternatives that they could do? Yeah, but you have to get an entire industry to agree with you on that, and not just like you and me, the fans. And
No.
we're not just talking about us in America. We're talking literally around the globe.
No, just you and
The
me matter.
entire
Only
globe
the two of
has
us
to-
matter. And Zach.
Yeah, and
It
Zach.
don't matter. I've been cut out of
Yep.
this conversation.
And again, we're not tying in specifically saying games to everything else. I mean, yeah, we are. We're saying the new game leads to the ideas of everything else because the other industries or the other categories of the Pokemon Company, you know, merchandise, anime, movies, yada yada. Like, of course, they have their own unique ideas, but they're all rooted firmly in whatever the games are. Even though, like, story-wise, they have different elements. You know, anime is usually more lighthearted, and of course, it involves around Ash, and they take their own liberties, like sizing, species, that sort of thing.
Does it still revolve around Ash? Does it?
That's, yeah. I get. Well, I mean, I guess depends. They do have the other series.
All right. Well,
Ash finally won league.
we've literally been
Yeah, we should
ranting
move
about
on.
Pokemon for like 20 minutes. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long
Could.
time.
Could be a podcast.
Did anybody have anything they wanted to add while Seth and I were yelling at each other about Pokemon?
Or anything else, really.
I'm not gonna get probably the new Monster Hunter. Probably gonna wait for the next one.
Interesting. Why?
The PC release or
The next one they do that's for PlayStation specifically.
Are
But
they
I
gonna?
think this
Is it gonna be
Rise
for the
is
PlayStation?
a Switch a game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna
yeah,
be for
but
the
they're
Switch.
making it for PC too. That's what I was saying. They're putting it on PC.
But they're gonna limit it for
I mean, they'll
the Switch.
We don't know that.
upscale everything on the PC.
Maybe.
I mean,
I would
Blaze,
hope
they've had like Monster Hunters on DSs and stuff. I'm sure the Switch is a much more capable console than the DS. So
It's a different game than World. Like just
it is.
mechanic
It's
wise.
literally a new game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be new / older. It's supposed to be merging because there are a lot of fans that came to the game because of World, but you yourself and Zach would bring up a lot how things were different than the old ways and how you kind of missed some of those features. From my understanding, that's what Rise is. Rise is bringing back the old style of Monster Hunter, but on a handheld console, Switch.
I don't know.
No, it's just gonna be flashy with some buttons that you press for abilities.
Dude, Google,
Thank
I know you can hear me. I really need you to be helpful at any point tonight. That would be great. You guys continue.
I think it'll be fun. It looks good. Everything I've seen on it looks good. But I mean, I'm obviously not going to get it if no one else is getting it because I play Monster Hunter to play with my friends. Mainly you, Blaze, because you're my Monster Hunter friend.
Feels
But-
good, man.
Also, it would probably require me to buy a Switch.
Audrey has a
It-
Switch. You can just
it's
borrow
on PC.
hers. And it's coming to PC. You own a PC already.
But it's probably not gonna be crossplay.
I bet it
don't
will.
know.
I bet it will if it's releasing.
The thing
on,
is, Blaze, I would not buy it on Switch. I would just wait for it to come on PC so we could play it together.
Yeah, I mean, given the choice between playing it on Switch or PC, I'd probably go PC if I had to get it.
yeah, something
That
about
was
the
that was the thing. I thought you would
Switch.
be excited about this, but you sound very like
something about the Switch controllers
downtrodden
just
about it.
don't do it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pro controller's great.
I haven't played every Monster Hunter. I played the first one and then I played another one later.
The one we started together was 3 on the Wii. Monster Hunter Try.
I think it might be good to have a hiatus and just skip the game. Or I put a lot of hours into into World, and it would be nice to have several year
Bro.
break.
You've been on hiatus now for when did Iceborne come out?
Blood
About a
Born?
year ago, right? Or no, Ice. What is the Ice World one?
Blood Born? I something. I don't remember, dude.
Iceborne. It's literally called Iceborne. Don't second guess me, Ryan.
I just
You're
said
making me sound
Bloodborne.
stupid.
I just said Bloodborne. What do you want from me? I'm trying to find this statistic, and Google refuses to show me what I
So
want to see.
September
Ryan's over
20.
here. You're wrong. Basically,
I
I'm
did
like,
not say
"Well, I'm
you
pretty
were
sure."
wrong. I did
The
not.
way you were saying it, it was like you're wrong.
I just
But
said
I
Bloodborne.
straight on gave you the exact title, and Ryan was like, no.
I did not say that.
End of 2019.
So yeah, I mean, you've had a year break basically now, and this one doesn't even come out until 2022. So that'd be a 2-year break. Exactly what you're asking for, huh? Just throwing that out there. There looks to be some really fun stuff to do in it, but I mean, obviously can't force you to play anything. And I'll be back in continental United States in 2022. So
It's so far away.
that is not that far away. It's
So far
a
away.
year and about 5 months
So far
for
away.
me to come home.
Far away. But yeah, so
Far away for far too long.
before we get DMCA'd for yelling things into the microphone, I guess this statistic just doesn't exist, or I'm too stupid to find it. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Good talk.
Just a quick note. I don't think we talked about this last week. EA officially killed Anthem this week. They said they're not going to invest resources into doing Anthem 2.0. Said it's not worth the money. So, what was once a hopeful looking game full of everyone trying to be Tony Stark now is dead.
My Iron Man fantasy. Go on.
Hey, at least you got the MCU game where you can play as Iron Man. There's also Iron Man VR.
The Avengers game is not that good. But anyways, other big things this week. It was not on the state of play, but Sony announced they are working on a next gen VR system to go with the PS5, which I'm not a super big fan of VR, but I know a lot of people are.
Yeah, I don't know if I care about Sony doing it. I'm more concerned about HTC.
I mean, to each their own. I know a lot of people love the Sony VR stuff, but
Sony's
Also,
Sony stuff gonna be exclusive to Sony,
they're expensive too, aren't they?
probably.
yeah. So the original one was the same price as a PS4, so you had to buy the PS4 and then spend another $400 to get the VR. And I would guess this one is going to be as expensive or more expensive than a PS5. And probably just as hard to buy. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, we're 2 months into 2021 and people still cannot buy a PS5 because scalpers are still rampantly scooping them up.
The demand is high. The supply is low.
Thank you, COVID.
Is it COVID?
Probably partially COVID, but I would say that the demand was going to be
I'm just saying this-
crazy high anyway.
PlayStations aren't being made here in the States. Zach, I bet if you went to your PS5 right now, there'd be a made in, I'm going to call Korea sticker. Korea or Taiwan, it's a coin flip.
I'm not picking up my PS5. It's on right now.
Yeah, well.
I would guess Japan.
Oh, you think Japan?
I doubt it's made in Japan. They don't have enough.
No, it's probably sourced from Japan and then created in Taiwan or China. So I don't know. But anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
They're made in China
Nice.
or Japan. Some are made in China, some are made in Japan. Interesting.
We have no idea where they're made anymore. everywhere but here.
I googled it, and some serial numbers they are made in Japan, some are made in China.
Mm.
That might
Fuzz,
explain why some of them break and some of them don't.
I'm thinking I got a Japanese one since mine has been pretty good. I haven't had any problems. Like the biggest thing right now, I know Sony's getting
so many things
there's
I can't say.
a what do you call it? A group
A
lawsuit. I
class
can't think of
action
what the
lawsuit.
class action lawsuit for the DualSense drifting. And my thought was, oh, I didn't know that was a thing because mine doesn't do it, so I didn't know about it. Like I would have never even thought to look it up.
That reminded me of the Robin Hood class action lawsuit that was supposed to happen. Do we know anything about that?
I haven't seen anything else. I know I saw on the news this week when I was treating a patient something about I saw him being trialed, the guy that owns Robin Hood, but I was working, so I didn't really pay attention to what they were saying.
I'll have to keep an eye on this and then give an update next week if I remember, which I probably won't, but I'll try to. So yeah. Anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? Anything going on? Fuzz, Blaze? I know the rest of us have kind of been yelling at the microphone, so you haven't had much chance to talk.
I'm thinking about pizza right now.
Of course you're thinking about pizza right now.
Friday classic.
Now I'm thinking about pizza, Blaze. What? Why? Why have you done this?
That's what you get for talking so long.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe.
Oh, now Fuzz is thinking about pizza
Can't
too.
believe you've done this.
I'm never not thinking about pizza. That's just
He is perpetually thinking about pizza, and sometimes I'll go into the kitchen and there's just a pizza box, and I'll never have heard him order pizza. It's like, what? You could have at least sinned with me. I would have bared that cross with you. I have cash. I would have paid you back.
Send with him.
Are you ordering Jets tonight? If you're ordering Jets, then
No.
Okay, thank
Order
you.
Marco's. Marco's is better.
Marcos is great, but they're not Jets.
All right. Well, now we're just talking
I've actually
about.
never had Jets.
Now we're talking about food. We can talk about which pizza is better next week and why you guys are all wrong. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, I'm probably going to have to cut out some of this so it's not so long. I'll probably cut the Pokemon stuff out and put that on a different episode. But if you like it, leave us a comment because it's the only way we show up in the algorithm. Give us a like if you really like it, and then tell us what we're doing wrong and what you'd like us to talk about in the comment section. That'd be nice. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks.